What's going on, Guardians? It's Sizzle here. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I really wish would change in Destiny 2. I may branch off into other aspects of the game that I think could be improved upon, but I would like to stress on one major point throughout this video, and that is, quit penalizing us for making builds. First off, let me say, well done to Bungie for the build crafting that they have brought into the game to this point. I literally would not even have a YouTube channel if they hadn't done this. I've always loved Destiny, but it was not until the implementation of Armor 2.0 that it really gave me something to sink my teeth into. The gunplay and the essence of the game itself has always been fun, but the build crafting is something I truly enjoy. I spend hours outside of the game just dreaming up cool new builds I want to try. And I hope to bring many of these builds to you in the future in video form, but I'm still somewhat slow at making videos, and free time with a full-time job and a desire to game is just hard to come by. But trust me, I'm doing my best. I love making builds and experimenting with new things and trying out different strategies in solo lost sectors, GM nightfalls, dungeons, gambit, crucible, and any other activity in this game that I can. I don't really have a dedicated raid team, but I've always envied Sweatsicle's videos of melting Callus with different weapons, or Scrub using all kinds of different weapons to damage Taniks. I'd love to do more stuff like that in the future. Luckily, I do have a dedicated Grandmaster team on PC now, and we have tried some different strats and different nightfalls, and it's been a really fun time. But let me get back to the more critical side of the video, and that is Bungie penalizing us for wanting to make builds. Anytime you want to slot a different armor mod, it's 500 glimmer. Want to change your hand cannon from minor spec to Icarus grip because you're hopping into PvP? That's going to be 500 glimmer as well. I noticed this season, more than ever, I was always super short on glimmer. And then I figured out why. Because I am the type of player who is always min-maxing. Ask anyone who has ever played with me, I'm basically always changing something on my build. Even in my day-to-day life, I'm very punctual and a bit of a perfectionist. So when I play Destiny, I want the best build for every situation. This really takes a toll on my resources. I have to max out every piece of gear to pinnacle power because I hate not being at max light. Well, this costs upgrade modules, which cost glimmer and legendary shards and resources. I feel like I'm always going to Spider to top up my supply. On top of that, I'm always holding pinnacle drops in my vault just for infusion fodder, as well as hanging on to weapons that will be perfect in very niche situations for top DPS. This sometimes works in my favor though. When Swarm of the Raven with spike grenades became the DPS meta, I already had one sitting around. I also had a disruption break scout rifle from the Kronosauros raid. Rest in peace to my beautiful Calicia Noblesse. Thanks, Sunsetting. But when anti-barrier scout rifle came along, that thing was a monster to pair with Izanagi's burden. But more often than not, I am probably holding on to 100 weapons or more that I will never use. So here's where I get off on a tangent and mention two more problems. First, give us hoarders more vault space please, it isn't hurting anyone. And second, allow us to upgrade a slot position and not each piece of armor. I would love if once my chest slot was 1310 or whatever the pinnacle power is, any piece of gear I put in there would also be 1310. I wanted to use Stormdancer's Brace for a build in the Fallen Saber Grandmaster, but alas, my exotic chest piece was 1100. It just feels very limiting and doesn't allow you to play around as much as you want. I would try so many different builds in solo lost sectors and other high-end activities in the game if I didn't have to upgrade every random exotic all the time. I played this game a heck of a lot, and yet I have less than 3,000 legendary shards because I am forever upgrading armor and weapons. It is time Bungie reworks our upgrading system. But back to the topic at hand, which is charging us for armor mods. Once again, Bungie has done a nice job adding 6 more mods this season. They are based around picking up wells of light that you create. But once again, they limit the amount of people who will use them because they can only be slotted onto armor pieces from beyond light forward. Why, Bungie? Let us tinker with these new mods. Let us play around with builds. I literally masterworked 15 pieces of armor, 5 on each character, just to try out the new mods and make some builds with them. But again, I play a lot and do GMs for fun, so I'm not low on shards and prisms. If anything, I'm low on legendary shards and glimmer. But I am not the typical player. So many players out there probably won't ever know these mods exist because they have one set of masterworked armor from Season of Arrivals that they don't ever really take off, so they won't even see the mods because they can't be slotted on their armor. I just think there has got to be a better way. I pre-recorded this next section of me showing the typical loadouts I use for a Deepstone Crypt raid run. It cost me about 10,000 glimmer to change my mods throughout the raid. I know I do not have to do this, but again, it's just the type of player I am, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Hey, so sorry if the audio sounds a little different than normal. I'm recording differently than I normally do, but I just wanted to show the different loadouts that I would typically use on a Deepstone Crypt run. The first encounter doesn't really matter. Lots of people cheese it. So on the way to the Deep Stone Crypt Security, I'll typically run something like this because this is what I like to run in the first encounter. Save for I will run a Heritage over a Sniper on the Deep Stone Crypt Security. But basically, I like to run a full Warmind Cell build. So let's just take a look at what that would look like. One quick thing, in this example, I'm not even changing armor hardly at all. Just the armor mods and exotic pieces. So my actual stats are not even optimized, just optimized for armor mods. But with presets, you could even have the optimal armor pieces for stat splits as well. ACTIUM War Rig, so I don't have to reload my Xenophage. Probably run Machine Gun Scavenger and maybe Shotgun Scavenger. Again, I always min-max way more than is necessary, but I just really like the builds in this game. So I just can't help myself, and I do it every single time. So that looks pretty good. We've got all the major, not quite all the major ones. If I were to swap to this, I could have Fireteam Medic. But yeah, basically Burning Cells, Ridge of the Warmind, Wrath of Rasputin, Global Reach, ACTIUM War Rig, so I don't have to reload my Xenophage. So what did we start at? About 185,000 Glimmer. So just for the first encounter alone, that was about 5,000 Glimmer, and takes a little bit of time to set up. And even that isn't fully optimized. I don't have my normal ACTIUM War Rig on me, but I would probably run a couple Machine Gun Scavengers. Again, you have to look for all that, so if you could have presets, that would be super nice. Probably Grenade mod as well, because I like having lots of grenades to pair with Bottom Tree Sunbreaker and the Sunspots. Again, I know the raid isn't very hard, especially the opening encounter, but I just like to min-max at all times. And then when we would go to the next encounter, I'd probably keep this on, or you could swap to Middle Tree, throw on Cuirass, and then you're running the Lament. I like to run my Gnawing Hunger with Rampage spec in succession for taking out the Servitors. And then for all this stuff, I would swap to Supercharged, Charged Up, wherever that is. Then I would have on Taking Charge, which I happen to already have on there. And then I swap to Arc for this, keep Outreach on, need that so I can equip Lucent Blade. And then I'm able to do extra damage with the Lament. So that is typically what my second encounter build would look like. And then we go to the third encounter, and it's back to being very similar to the first encounter. Again, you do not have to do this. This is just something that I find myself always doing because I like to min-max. I like to make the encounters easier on myself and my team. Probably run Hollow Fire in this case. So there we go, used a little more Glimmer yet again. And then the final encounter, I don't like quick swapping, I'm not very good at it. So, I just run my God Roll Succession. Again, I would have to swap this to Boss Spec then, because I'm not working on Majors, I'm working on a Boss. This also has Major Spec from working on a whatever I was doing the last time. I think it was Gambit with that weapon. And then typically run Bubble. So yeah, you can see for me personally, I swap quite a bit of stuff. The mods don't really matter here, but I would probably throw on Double Shotgun Reserves. So yeah, we're looking at about 10,000 Glimmer just to run a raid, and that's not even fully optimized. This would be Shotgun and probably Sniper Scavenger. Again, usually you're waiting for other teammates, who's going to be Divinity, who's going to do this and that if you're doing LFG raids. So yeah, you've got time to switch all this stuff. That's not the end of the world, but if you could just have presets, that would be so nice. And then, like I said, you can see just how much Glimmer it costs just to swap around mods just for each encounter of the raid. Again, I know you don't have to do this, but it's just something I like doing. So as you can see, I have a lot of stuff to swap, and that may not even be all of it. Sometimes I may swap even more mods around, and I have to do this every week on every character when I'm trying to reach Pinnacle Power. So I'm spending about 30,000 Glimmer just to run my raids. And then I will do other Pinnacle activities. I like to run fun loadouts in Gambit, then I go do a 100k Nightfall. You can bet I'm changing my loadout for that. So as you can see, a player like me is always on a glimmer treadmill, so to speak. I have not played a ton of Diablo in my life, so I'm not an expert on the subject, but one of my best friends is an expert on the subject. In Diablo 3, he had some of the fastest GR times in the world, and I've been watching him play Diablo 2 and 3 since we were about 9 years old. He knows his stuff. I remembered him showing me that you can have preset builds in Diablo. So he had a Diablo preset for gold farming, and then he had a preset for boss DPS, for solo GR runs, for being a team tank, all kinds of presets for various occasions. I really wish Bungie would implement something like this. Rather than switching mods frantically between encounters, you could have a preset build. Call it DSC first encounter, second encounter, third encounter, fourth encounter. If I feel like switching it up, fine, I can do that. But if I want to go to my old reliable builds, then allow me to do so. Heck, even in my breakdown, I forgot to switch from Arc to Solar for the third encounter. I'm sure that has happened to me before, and I didn't even realize it until after I rallied the flag. But with game presets, I could just select my loadout, and I know I wouldn't be missing anything. I would use this feature so much. I could have a Grandmaster Well of Radiance build. Just select it, and boom, it would have the well with the Phoenix Protocol, plus some mods for gaining Charge with Light, as well as Protective Light. And my armor stats would be min-max as well. I always have to go through my armor to see what my best stat splits are with a certain exotic, such as Phoenix Protocol. But with presets, this would already be handled. It would just be a huge quality of life change that I would love to see one day. This season during Iron Banner Week, I would come up with one fun loadout per character to try out while I did my bounties, just so I wouldn't have to be always swapping mods around. Come on, Bungie, let us experiment and have fun. Quit deterring us from using the mods that you have put in your game. And speaking of deterrence, I think there is no bigger deterrent than the seasonal artifact. So many neat seasonal specific mods, and no player can experience them all at once. I made a fun sword-based build on my hunter. Well, say I then wanted to go heavy into a stasis build for my hunter and use Resonance Siphon and Glacial Inheritance. Well, that is going to be 12,500 glimmer please to reset your artifact. Ugh, fine. And now go through the entire artifact and reselect every mod just to get to the end. It's so annoying. Want to reset again? That's double. 25,000 glimmer this time, please. Why? It's so regressive and for no point. Quite literally no point. Because here's the thing. Your armor only has 10 mod points. It is not like you can stack Passive Guard with Glacial Inheritance and Sundering Glare. They all go on your class item and cost 6 energy apiece. So the only thing you can do is have them all unlocked. But you'd still have to pick which one is best for your build that you're running. But at least you can have the option. I am plus 25 for artifact bonus. I'm season rank something around 330. That is extremely high. Most players will not get to that. So reward the people with plus 25 artifact bonuses. You can keep the 0, 1, 4, 7, 10 unlock requirements. That is fair and it doesn't take too long to reach. But why cap the artifact selections at 12? Why? It makes no sense. I don't want to have to reset my entire artifact just because I want to try out Volatile Conduction in a game of Gambit. Again, your armor energy slots already limit what mods you can equip on them, so there is literally no need to cap the artifact unlocks. Please change this soon. I'm tired of having to pay Glimmer to try fun new playstyles. Let me tinker to my heart's content. I have a few other gripes with Destiny at the moment, but I really wanted to hit on this. I don't see anyone talking about it on forums that I read, and I wanted to bring attention to the topic. I originally made a long and thoughtful post about this topic on the Destiny the Game subreddit, and it was pulled off immediately. I have no idea why. I did not swear. I was thoughtful with my suggestions and just wanted to see if the community agreed on some of the points I had. Sadly, it was taken down, so I decided to make a YouTube video on it instead. If you watched this far, I want to thank you so much for watching and taking the time to listen to my thoughts. If you agree or disagree with my points or have any other suggestions on things Bungie could do to make build crafting in this game more seamless, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Again, my audience is very small and I'm very passionate about build crafting in this game, so if you agree that you are tired of being charged heaps of Glimmer just for making builds, please share this video with your friends. Again, I do not see this topic getting talked about very much, and I would love for this to get some attention so maybe Bungie can change some things in the future. I think what they have done with builds so far has been absolutely amazing, but with some small tweaks and changes, it can truly be even better and more user-friendly. But that is going to do it from me. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and take care.